Hi guys, and welcome to your SolarCity mock test. The topics covered are the Companies Act, King, and the Psycho Code of Professional Conduct. Okay, so this is what you should have picked up in your 12 minutes of reading time. Background information. You are the audit partner, so just to note your experience at CTA Inc., herein referred to as CTA, a firm of registered auditors. On the 29th of May 2022, Minnie Mouse, CASA, so just to note here, CPC, the Chief Financial Officer of SolarCity appointed you as the SolarCity Auditor for the 30 June 2022 financial year. So, just a few things you want to make a note here. First of all, pre-engagement, because you are new auditors, so obviously opening balances have a risk of being misstated. Secondly, you want to make a note here. You were appointed on the 29th of May for the year end 30 June. So it's really close to year end. So it's unlikely that you will have been able to do any planning or interim testing before year end. So it's going to be a year end audit because of the timing at which you were appointed. And then in addition to that, we're going to see the CFO appointed you as an auditor, which looks like that is non-compliance with the Companies Act, because auditors should be appointed at the AGM, and if there's a vacancy, then by the board with the audit committee's approval. Okay. You and Minnie agreed on a conservative audit fee for the audit firm's first year as auditor. So now another thing here, I'm going to have non-compliance with the Companies Act because it was the CFO who determined the fee, and it should be the audit committee. Okay, so I've got non-compliance with the Companies Act straight off the bat, a conservative audit fee, so this I'm going to think about the CPC, because in terms of the CPC, auditor needs to ensure that you are going to present a fee for the work that's covered. So this could result in a self-interest threat to professional competence and due care if you can't do all the work that you need to for that specific fee. Okay. Is the client also trying to reduce the fee? Maybe this is a risk at the financial statement level. Management integrity got to be a consideration here. The previous auditors resigned in September after completing the 2021 year-end audit. So now look here. So they resigned in September. You were appointed in May. So you got October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's 8 months with no auditor appointed. So, once again, we've got a non-compliance with the Companies Act, because when there is a vacancy, a new auditor should be appointed within 40 days. Okay, so you got non-compliance with the Companies Act. Look at all those non-compliance with Companies Act. Okay, as soon as you got non-compliance with Companies Act, you can prove that they are not adhering to the laws and regulations as required by King. So non-compliance with King because of laws plus regulations. And as soon as you've got non-compliance with Companies Act, you've got to look, is this a reportable irregularity? Understanding the entity. But, sorry, before I move on, what I can see is that there was a vacancy. So it's good that they did appoint auditors in the end. Understanding the entity and its corporate governance structure. SolarCity was established in 2010 and has continued to grow from strength to strength. So we can see that they are established, looks like they are a going concern. SolarCity is widely recognized as the leading supplier of solar systems in South Africa. So that tells me leading supplier, yes, going concern. Also now gives me an indication of the industry that they are in. They offer standardized solar systems or custom designed and built systems. Their comprehensive service includes procurement, expert installation, project management, engineering, and monitoring. SolarCity intends listing on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange during the 2023 financial period. So they intend to list. So now all of a sudden they're going to have pressures to meet listing requirements. So they could have material misstatements in the financials. In order to do so, their 2022 interim financial statements need to be submitted to the JSE Submission Committee by 10 February 2022 to ensure the revenue benchmark and other listing criteria is attainable. So again here, now there could be misstatements in the interim financial statements so that they achieve what the JSE requires of them. Also, you can see that there's a tight deadline for the financial statements. In addition, the JSE Submission Committee require the audited financial statements for the 2022 period by 10 August 2022 in order to determine whether their 2022 results meet the JSE listing requirements. So it's a 30 June year end, so you've got July and then by 10 August. So now you've got a risk at the financial statement level because of this tight deadline. So the financials could be misstated, what post-reporting date events not captured. So your accounting side of things, and then from the auditor's perspective, there's a risk that they don't detect because of this deadline. Okay, once again, there's also this risk here because there is a criteria they are trying to reach. They want to become listed. So now the year-end financials also carry this risk to meet the JSE listing criteria. Corporate governance structures. Ownership of SolarCity. Daphne Duck has 36%, Pluto Dog 25%, various minority shareholders 39%. The board of directors of SolarCity. Gouffé, chairman, Pluto Dog, lead. Automatically I pick up here. Pluto Dog is a shareholder and a director. As a lead, holding 25%, I go, that is not independent. Okay, because in order to be independent, if you have a shareholding, it cannot be material to you. A 25% shareholding in a company intending to list would indicate that they have, or this would be material. Bug Bunny, independent non-executive director. Sylvester Cat, independent non-executive director. Speedy Gonzalez, independent non-executive director. Mikey Moose, chief executive officer. Minnie Mouse, CASA, chief financial director. Scrooge McDuck, risk management and strategy director. As soon as I see that CASA, guys, I quickly just make a note again. CPC, just to keep reminding me, there is a requirement for Minnie to adhere to the code. Okay, so I'll quickly go and have a look here. Executives to non-executives. So I've got 1, 2, 3. 3 executives for sure. I'm not too sure yet of the chairman, so I'm going to have to look at that, but I've got 1, 2, 3 definitely non-executive, all of which are independent. I'm going to have to just read a little bit more if there is for me to decide whether other 2 are. If they don't give you any information, guys, then you would just assume that by not describing the executive officer roles, the chairman and the lead would be non-exec. But let's carry on. Here's background on your board of directors. Gouffé is a non-executive director as he is no longer involved in the day-to-day running of the business. He resigned as chief executive officer in December 2019. Okay, so now we're doing 30 June 2022 year end. So December 2019 means he was part or formed part of the 2020 year end financials. So 2021 means he was part, 2020, or he was off 2022, so it is not 3 years from being involved in executive roles. So I can see here now that he is a non-executive, but he's not independent. So I've already got non-compliance with King because the chairman is not independent, even though he is an executive. Okay, then he is also chairman of the nomination and risks committees, which is acceptable. Pluto Dog is a non-executive director as he is not involved in the day-to-day running of the business. So I have now got him as a non-executive. I've already proved that he is not independent. So then I've got non-compliance with King because the lead is not independent, non-executive. But from this, I can now go and conclude. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-executives, so we meet that. In terms of my non-executives, I need to see independent versus not independent. I've got 1, 2, 3 that are independent and 2 that are not, so we still meet that criteria. So in terms of my board composition, they comply with King. That is acceptable. My concern here, already we've addressed that the lead is not independent. Pluto Dog is the chairman of the audit committee. So now I've got non-compliance with King because the audit committee should only be independent non-executives and he is not independent. And the chair should be an independent non-executive and he is not. Okay. He's also a member of the remuneration committee and risk committee. Bug Bunny, Sylvester Cat, and Speedy Gonzalez are all members of the Audit Committee, Nomination Committee, Social and Ethics Committee, and Remuneration Committee. Bug Bunny is the chairman of the Social and Ethics Committee. Sylvester Cat is the chair of the Remuneration Committee. Minnie Mouse CASA is very intimidating. Although small in stature, there's nothing small about her presence on the board of directors. The directors often joke about how no one stands up to Minnie, even though they tower over her. Okay, so this is a bit of a concern with regards to my director's nature. If this person is controlling because nobody will stand up to them, then there's a bit of a concern with your board and its balance of power. Okay, so lacks balance. Okay, and that would be from a King perspective. And Scrooge McDuck is a member of the Social and Ethics Committee. So guys, now what I would quickly do here, just to see whether there's compliance with the different committees, I'm going to have here a nomination committee, risk committee, audit committee, remuneration committee, and social and ethics. So I've just put down the ones that they've mentioned. Okay, if I quickly go look at the membership here, the chairman for the nomination and the risk is Gouffet. And so I've got 1, risk and nomination. And Pluto Dog is a chairman on the audit committee. And I've got a problem here with my chair, which we've already addressed. But then I've also got a member of the remuneration and the risk. So risk and remuneration has another one. Bug Bunny, Sylvester Cat, and Speedy are all members of the audit committee. So I've got 1, 2, 3, all independent non-executive. For the audit committee, the nomination committee, 1, 2, 3, the social and ethics committee, 1, 2, 3, and the remuneration committee, 1, 2, 3. and Bug Bunny is the chairman of the Social and Ethics, and Sylvester Katz is the chairman of the Remuneration. So those are both independent non-executive, so that's acceptable for their chairmans. Minnie Mouse is a member of the Risk Committee, which is fine to have an executive there. And Scrooge McDuck is a member of the Social and Ethics. Okay, so it's perfect. You can have executive directors on the Social and Ethics only, and that is where they have. So that accepts. They've got all, or at least 3 in each, so that's perfect. And then my only concerns with the chairman was your audit committee, and we've already addressed that. So other than that, the rest of the chairmen are acceptable for their positioning, so I'm happy with my committees. Okay, always draw it out here, because otherwise you're going to get confused just reading it out. So rather make it clear what's going on. 2022 audit. The 2022 audit has been a success to date. The audit team were given access to all the accounting records and supporting documents requested. You have reviewed the audit file and flagged the following information for further investigation. Board of Directors Resolution 2 January 2022, Interim Financial Statements 31 December 2021, email correspondence between Marky Moose and Minnie Mouse CASA. Okay, Board of Director Resolution 2 January 2022, these are the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting as prepared by Bug Bunny on 2 January 2022. In attendance, Goofy, Pluto Dog, Bug Bunny, Speedy Gonzales, Mikey Moose, Minnie Mouse, Scrooge McDuck. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I remember I had 8 directors, so I'll go back to see who is missing. Sylvester Katz. Okay, so an independent non-executive director is not present, but there's only one. So I'm just going to write you're not in attendance. Sylvester Katz. Agenda. SolarCity purchase of shares from Pluto Dog. Pluto Dog addressed the board of directors. He stated that he wanted to sell 5% of his current shareholding in SolarCity back to the company. He noted that he was aware of his interest in this decision and would therefore excuse himself from the meeting. He said his goodbyes to the remaining directors and left the meeting without taking part in the voting. So he gave notice and he left. So my director's interest in contract has been achieved. After Pluto had left the meeting, the directors started debating whether the company should buy back the shares from Pluto. So I can see if I hadn't clicked, this is a share buyback. The decision was finally put to vote, and all directors present voted in favor of the buyback of 5,000 shares at a fair price of $168 per share. So I can work out my calculation here. A director's resolution was passed and signed by all directors present. So all directors voted in favor of this decision to buy back shares from a director, shareholder who is also a director. Okay. So I'm going to have to just consider if the criteria have all been met. Draft interim financial statements at 31 December 2021. So year end, so that's for the full year, and these are my interim. So I've got my assets and my equity. I quickly do a comparison. Total assets to equity and liabilities. When I look here, there is equity, so I can see that they are solvent. Are they liquid? 17,500 to 17, so they are liquid, so that's cool. I just do that for my check, liquidity and solvency, nothing else there. The only thing that looks interesting is that there isn't a current portion of non-current loans. Okay, Mikey Moose, CEO SolarCity, has signed as authorized by the CEO on behalf of the Board of Directors, passed on 3 February, so they have authorized these financials. Email correspondence between Mikey Moose and Minnie Moose or Minnie Mouse, CASA, from Mikey to Minnie. Subject JSE Submission Committee Report. Dear Minnie, I hope you are well. I received the JSE Submission Committee report on our interim financial statements this morning. The report is very technical. Personally, I do not have the financial knowledge to address some of the questions raised on the interim financial statements. So this could be a concern about the director's knowledge per king. Just a concern. I don't expect the CEO to have all the financial knowledge. I do expect some knowledge. So he just says some of the questions. So I can't go and say immediately this is non-compliance with king. I know you are very busy working through the many audit firm tenders for the 2022 financial year end audits. So I suggest we put together a JSE task team to review and respond to the JSE Submission Committee report. Okay, my first concern here is you want to put through a task team, but this hasn't been given to the audit committee, which would be non-compliance with the Companies Act, which requires that any reports that deal with financials should go to the audit committee. The team can comprise of members from the accounting department, as they would be able to address the allegations of material misstatements in the nil balance in the short-term portion of non-current loans. Okay, so the JSE have reviewed the financials, the interim financials, and they are saying there's a material misstatement because there's no short-term portion. So what we're saying here is that the current liabilities are understated because they don't include the current portion of long-term loans. And we did note that looked a bit strange. And if that's the case, that would need to be increased. And if we just go up here, if that becomes increased, now there might be a concern on liquidity depending on what this amount is. Okay. Of course, any changes that need to be made to the financial statements would need to be approved by you, but you do not need to be involved in gathering all the supporting evidence required in the report. There's also a concern because surely the financial statements would need to be approved by the board. So that would be non-compliance with king. From Minnie to Mickey again on the 27th. Mickey, I have not seen the report you referred to in your email. Surely before you start attacking my interim financial statements, you should have the decency to send me a copy of the rubbish findings by the so-called rulers JSE Submissions Committee. So we already have seen that Minnie is a bit intimidating. This is a bit concerning if you look at the behavior. First of all, she is a CASA. So behavior, in terms of a fundamental principle, non-compliance with the CPC. And now looking at, from a king perspective, this doesn't look like it's ethical behavior. Rubbish findings by the so-called rulers, JSE Submission Committee. I'm offended that you feel the need to put together a task team. I'm responsible for the interim financial statements and I do not want anyone from the accounts department suggesting changes to my works. So guys, what I'm starting to consider here is she actually aware of the material misstatements? And so is there maybe a concern here with her integrity? And then this would be a risk at the financial statement level because she's the CFO. I will take care of the report findings so that your precious listing on the JSE is not affected. Okay, so she's going to take care. She said there's going to be no task team. She is taking control. And so this becomes very concerning with regards to the financial statements and the material misstatements, as well as taking care. What does that mean? Does this mean that she will make any misstatements? So once again, professional behavior, integrity. These are all fundamental principles that we need to question here. From Maki to Minnie. Thank you, Minnie, and I am sorry. I did not mean to offend you. So this is just accepted. Once again, nobody stands up to her. There you see, nobody stands up to you. So now that's going to be a non-compliance with King in terms of the CEO having control, strategizing, running the business. He seems to just back down straight to the CFO. Okay, let's have a look at the required.